Hello, everyone. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to another episode of the Back of the Pack podcast here on OKKC Sports. I am your host, Kyle Walker. Thank you so much for joining us as always. So another race in the books. Today was the Great Santa Run at Johnson County Community College. It was cold, super cold. It started about 16 degrees, I think, when I got out of my car this morning to head to the start line. But you know, a race like this in December, most of the time, more often than not, it's going to be cold. So I was ready for it. I was prepared for it. It was a good race, got a decent time, didn't set a new PR or anything like I did last week. I was about 40 seconds, 45 seconds, something like that off of last week's pace, but that's okay. It was, for being cold, I'll take it. We all know that running in the cold sometimes is not so great. But that is done. So another race in the books. We only have one more race for this year. I almost said this week. Nope, this year. And that is the time travel 10K coming up on New Year's Eve up in Parkville, Missouri. So we will be out there for that. I did have a super fun morning at the Great Santa Run, seeing a lot of listeners, people I know, and then quite a few people I don't know came up and said hello to me. So to all of those who stopped and said hello at Johnson County Community College here at the Great Santa Run, thank you so much. I really do love it when people come up and say that they listen to the show and we talk a little bit. It's just fun talking about running, and I really appreciate all your support. It really is awesome. So to the folks who came and said hello this morning, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And then, of course, we saw some of our old familiar friends. We saw, Will and Amanda, and big shout out to our buddy, the KC cosplay runner. His costume this morning was on point. Dude, that was awesome. Well done. So he went as the Grinch. And so I'm talking full face paint, the full Grinch outfit. And what really put it over the top for me, he even had the bag that the Grinch steals all the Whoville stuff and puts it in. He even had a strand of lights hanging out of the bag, kind of dragging behind him on the run. That was well done. So KC cosplay runner, you were on point. Good to see Terry. So thank you, everyone. It was fun seeing our friends and making some new ones. I really appreciate it. And then, of course, people, anytime they say they like the show and talk nice about it, it makes me very happy. So that was that. That was the Great Santa Run. The Great Santa Run, is a historic race for me because that was my very first 5K back in 2010. So here I am running it years later. Thankfully, I got a little bit of a better time this year than I did way back when. Let me see. You know what? I'm actually going to check my spreadsheet of doom. I wonder what I did on my very first KC Santa Dash. See if I can find it real quick. Bear with me for a moment. Yes, I'm doing this while recording because now I'm super curious. All right. The first Great Santa Run, December 5th, 2010. I ran in 34 minutes and 19 seconds. That brings us to today, 32 minutes and 35 seconds. So look at that. Not bad. I've done this race 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. All right. Well, this was lucky number 7. It was my best time for this course on lucky number 7. So good job. I don't know about you guys, but I love tracking my numbers. I like knowing my times from previous races and previous years. I have a whole spreadsheet that keeps track of everything because, yes, I am that big of a nerd. I own it. It's 100% correct. So all right. Well, like I said, one more race to finish out this year, and then that's going to do it. And this is our last episode before we take a few weeks off. We're 7 days away from Christmas, and then 2 weeks is New Year's Day. We're not going to do new episodes on the holidays. We're going to give producer Katie a break and let her have some time off to enjoy with her friends and family. So we're good to her. We're just good to her like that. Right, Katie? Exactly. So with that being said, we do have to have a serious conversation. And I want you guys to sit down, take a moment. I was hoping this day wouldn't come, but it's here. Today, we have to talk about cold weather running. Yep. The time has come. We covered it back in May. We talked about warm weather running and hot weather running and all the kind of do's and don'ts. We went over it. It is officially time to talk cold weather running. If you haven't looked at next week's weather report, well, first, I'm going to be the bearer of bad news for you, but it is going to get gnarly here in the Midwest leading up to Christmas. We're talking snow, ice, and sub-zero temperatures are all heading our way for next week. So what are our options? Do we just sit around and not train? I mean, there's plenty of Christmas movies on. I'm sure you guys are stocked on all your Christmas baked goods and your holiday foods. And I get that we could sit around and not train at all. But then by the time the weather thaws a little bit, we're right back to square one and we kind of lose all the momentum we built up this year. So let's talk about it. Let's talk cold weather running. If you guys want to laugh on this subject before we dive in, go do a YouTube search for, I don't know, just look up cold weather runner interview. And then you're going to see this lovely couple who was doing an interview with someone in the snow. And they were doing an interview about how, oh, no, this is great snow to run on. It's the little pellets. It gives you traction. And they turn to run away from the interviewer. As the interviewer is over, they get about 10 steps. And then one of them falls right on their keister. So I know that's all over YouTube. That was kind of I don't mean to laugh at someone's misfortune, but it definitely will make you chuckle a little bit. So the cold weather is serious. We do have to take it seriously. We need to be prepared for it. The snow, the ice, the cold temps are all on their way. So, of course, we go to our buddies at Runner's World. Here's a few of the things that they talk about with the cold weather running. And the first question that everyone asks, okay, and I've heard various, thoughts and musings, shall we say, about this topic. Is it actually cold? Or is it actually cold? No, it is cold. Hey, Kyle, whatever, Kyle. Yes, it's cold. Is it actually dangerous to run in the cold? So here's what they say. No, as long as you dress for the weather. When dressing to run in the cold, remember that once you get moving, your body heats up fast, which could result in overheating if you're bundled up. Layering properly will help regulate your body temperature and keep a risk of cold-related illnesses like hypothermia at bay. The opposite is also true. Once you stop running, you will cool down very quickly, so be prepared to get out of those wet clothes immediately upon finishing your run. It's always wise to bring a change of dry clothes to put on as soon as you finish your run, or jump into a warm shower if readily available. Okay, this is 100% correct, of course. I dressed very warm for today's race. I dressed about the way I wanted to dress. Well, about the time I was done, I was really hot. I definitely had a very good sweat working because I had the layers on. So at the end of the race, yeah, I was sweating as I come huffing and puffing across the finish line. I get my medal. I'm kind of, catching my breath, talking to a few people. And I notice as I'm talking to some folks, it is quickly starting to become chilly because I'm still out about the time I finished the race. I don't know, it was maybe 18 degrees. I'm still out in 18 degrees. And even though my body was hot, I'm in wet clothing. So 18-degree weather hitting wet clothing, you're going to cool off quickly. And so I started cooling off quickly. I definitely did kind of a brisk walk back to my car just so I could get out of the weather. And then as soon as I got in my car, I am super fortunate. My car has, I call them butt warmers, but they're seat warmers. So I cranked that puppy on high because my back was wet and cold. So that's what they say about, is it dangerous to run in cold weather? So here's what they say. Here's some cold weather running essentials. Dun, dun, dun. Dressing in layers is key to running comfortably all winter. You can start the run feeling warm, then easily shed the layers as your body warms up, and you need less clothing. Simply tie unneeded layers such as jackets or long sleeve shirts around your waist and keep running once you're warm, or plan to loop a run so that you can drop them off in a safe spot like your car when you don't need them. Remember to put your base layer on the bottom, so as you strip layers off, the correct layer is underneath. Hey, I actually did that this morning. I had my base layer on, and then I had my fancy dancy Christmas themed back of the pack shirt on. It was great. So when stocking up for winter season, here are a few essentials you should fill your drawers with. This would be the drawers of your dresser. Running tights or pants. All right, check. I like running tights. I will definitely put pants over them. You do not ever have to see me just running in my running tights, because that, trust me, that's an image you can't get rid of. Next, long sleeve tech shirts, wool or poly blend, to use as a base layer. Depending upon winter temperatures in your area, you may need to invest in both a medium weight and heavy weight base layer shirt. I do have a base layer shirt, but I never paid any attention to the weight. So medium weight or heavy weight, buy as you see fit, but just be aware that that's a thing. Running gloves or mittens, clearly. Headband or hat, clearly. A windproof running jacket, always a good call to have that as kind of your top layer, especially, I don't know about where you live, but around here in the Midwest, it can get pretty windy at times. And that wind, man, it'll take it out of you if you're not ready for it. And then running socks, tech fabric, or wool blend. I ran in wool socks today. It was actually nice. My feet were toasty. So here are some tips for running when it's cold. Again, as given to us by the good folks at Runner's World. When dressing to run in cold weather, the rule of thumb is to add 10 to 20 degrees to the outside temperature to calculate your running temperature. Keep in mind that this number is dependent upon how quickly you heat up and cool down, run pace, and length of your run. So I thought that was interesting. So add 10 to 20 degrees to the outside temperature, and that's how it's going to feel while you're running. Okay, well, that explains why it got pretty warmly. For argument's sake, let's say it's 20 degrees outside. I dress like I dress the way I did, but it's going to feel like it's 40 degrees when I'm running. And a 40-degree run and a 20-degree run feel very different. They really do. Like a 40-degree run is no big deal. 20-degree run feels like, oh my gosh, it's really cold outside. But when you're running, it can get your temperature up that high to a 40-degreer, and that's not that big of a deal. Now, remember, that is while you're running. That is while you're actively on the run. As soon as you stop, if it's 20 degrees outside, but you're dressed like it's 40 degrees and then you stop moving, you're going to cool off quickly. Good friend of the show, Alex, I'm sure is still out there in his speed suit, and he just makes me cold every time I see him. So they continue on. So if you're going out for a short run, an easy paced run, or you get cold easily, add 10 to 15 degrees to the outside temperature to estimate your running temperature. If you're going for a long run, doing a hard workout, or get warm easily, add 20 degrees to the outside temp. For example, if the thermometer says it's 40 degrees outside, it'll feel more like 50 to 60 degrees when running. But you should also take the wind chill factor into consideration. When winds are present, look at the feels like temperature to determine what to wear. For example, if the outside temp is 40 degrees, but the real feel is reported to be 30 degrees because of the wind chill, you'll want to add 10 to 20 degrees to the lower temperature. When planning to run on windy, cold days, try to run into the wind on your way out and have the wind at your back on the return. It's best to avoid running into the wind when you are wet and sweaty because you will chill very quickly. And that's only if you can get your runs to do that. I do a big loop, and I feel like no matter where I go or how I turn, the wind seems to find me right in my face. And finally, you want to focus on the smaller extremities such as your ears, hands, and feet. These areas are farther away from your heart, which means that it takes more effort to get the blood flowing there, especially when all blood is being directed to your larger muscles to power your run. Warm gloves, socks, and hats or ear covers are essential, even when you can go with a short sleeve shirt or shorts on some chill days. Interesting way to word that. Okay, so like me, I'm sure you, like me, have seen the runner out there in a t-shirt and shorts, but they have a hat and gloves on. And you're thinking, okay, you're a really confused runner. No, they're not. We should stop saying that. And yes, I do mean we, as in I should stop saying that too. They know what they're doing. They are keeping the things, we're giving a little extra help to keep things warm, that needed, like the fingers and the toes and the ears. The rest of them's probably fine, but okay, so it makes sense. Let's stop judging them. Weirdos. Let's not do that. So what to wear when running in the cold? Still wondering what you should wear? You can use our clever what to wear tool or use this quick guide. Okay, so they go over a lot of the different temperatures. I don't care about the warmer ones. Again, we Midwesterners do not believe that 60 degrees is cold in any way, shape, or form. So we're going to go down to 30 to 39 degrees. They suggest you wear a long sleeve tech shirt, shorts or tights, gloves, and a headband to cover ears. All right, so now we go even farther down, 20 to 29 degrees. 2 shirts layered, a long sleeve tech shirt and a short sleeve tech shirt or long sleeve shirt and jacket, tights, gloves, and a headband or hat to cover ears. All right, even colder, because if you've seen the temperature coming up around here, we need colder information. 10 to 19 degrees. 2 shirts layered, tights, gloves or mittens, headband or hat, and windbreaker jacket pants. 0 to 9, because those are coming up too. 0 to 9 degrees, 2 shirts layered, tights, windbreaker, jacket, pants, mittens, headband or hat, ski mask to cover face. And then they finish it up by saying, how cold is too cold for running outside? When temperatures dip below freezing, be sure and pay attention to local weather information and warnings. Cold temperatures and dry air can aggravate some health conditions, so use your best judgment as to whether you should run outside or hit the treadmill instead. So that was all brought to us by Susan Paul at Runner's World. Thank her for her information whenever she wrote this, probably a while ago. But cold weather information is always good information. So that's what we're doing. That's what we got coming up. We've got cold. And so a lot of us are going to kind of have to stay motivated to continue to get our miles in, even when it's cold, even when it's dark. If you're training for any kind of a spring race, training plans are already starting. Okay, so as you all know, or if you're new to the show, you didn't know, I've got a charity bib to Boston. Still raising funds. If you want to help out, find that on the Facebook page, pretty please. But that's an April race. That's full marathon training for an April marathon. My plan, which I do the 16-week marathon training plan, it starts the day after Christmas. Okay, well, there's a lot more cold days in front of us than there are behind us. So I'd say 98% of all the marathon training I'm going to do between December 26th, 2022 and April 17th, 2023, that's all going to be in cold weather. If I'm lucky, I'll get a nice day or two mixed in there. But if I do, it's going to be windy as heck because that's how it is around here. If you get an unseasonably warm day, you can bet it's going to be windy. So I have to do all this training in the cold and in the dark. And we don't have the motivation that we usually do because there's not as many races. Now, if you're out there racing every weekend, you're probably good if you get 1 or 2 training runs in during a week, and then you race on the weekend, 1 to 2 runs, race on the weekend, whatever your situation is, but that's not as much of an option. Now, granted, around here, the running off season is not as long as you might think. Okay, so I've got the New Year's Eve race and then about 3 weeks off, and then we're right back into the swing of running 5Ks. Battle of the Bean is in January. That's the first 5K of the year that I will be able to attend. And then there's pretty much options almost every weekend after that. There's the big groundhog run that they do around here at the end of January. I won't be at that race. Hopefully one of our Back of the Pack ambassadors will be there and they can cover the race for us. And then we get into February. There's kickoff 5K, Sweetheart Run, the John Brown Half Marathon. And then you get into March and there's, then you're really into spring. Once you get into March, there's something every weekend. So the running off season or the racing off season really isn't that long, but the motivation is what can really drop off during cold months. Way easier to sit home and watch Netflix than it is to lace them up and get out there and get your miles in. But go ahead and follow this as best you can. Make sure you dress warm. And again, if it's not hazardous outside, I think we can probably still get our miles in. But like they said, use your judgment. And that's 100% correct. I don't like to run in snow. So like if it's, if there's a lot of snow on the ground, I don't want to run. I mean, I might try and run on the street, but I'm going to try and do it on streets where there's not a lot of traffic. Sidewalks don't get clear. Sidewalks can get icy. Hazardous weather is just really something you've got to judge for yourself. But I want everyone to stay safe and don't risk it. Don't push yourself to hurting yourself, hitting that black ice because you're running late and it's freezing cold and, you somehow injure yourself on your run. It's not worth all that. So we just got to all try and use our best judgment here in the cold weather. And I'm as guilty as anyone. I remember it was years ago. I really wanted to get out for a run. The weather had been bad. It was already starting to actively kind of snow again. And I thought, okay, before all the sidewalks get covered, I'm going to go for a run. I made it a mile in, and then all the sidewalks just had that real light film of snow on it. And if you've ever walked on a sidewalk where it's got that real light film of snow, that stuff is slicker than grease. And I just kept slipping and slipping and slipping. I finally said, the heck with this. I stopped running and I basically tiptoed very carefully as to not slip and fall back to my house. So you got to be careful. Don't hurt yourself. They're saying this could be a pretty nasty winter. So I don't know. If you got a gym membership, make sure to renew. If you got your treadmill at home, Might be time to take the clothing that's hanging on it and move that off so you can use your treadmill again. Sounds like indoor miles are going to be kind of the rule of thumb for a bit this year. So that's where we are on that. Be careful. I'm always happy. Not that I'm any expert. I'm just a guy that does this a lot. But if we ever talk about something on the podcast and you want like maybe a little more opinion or a little more in-depth analysis, or, if you want to run a question by me, please feel free to reach out. You can always send us a message on Facebook, social media, Instagram. We're all over the place. Back of the Pack podcast. And then, of course, we launched the KC Hustle Club. It is doing great. People are responding really, really well to it. If you're not a member yet of the KC Hustle Club, make sure you go and get signed up, kchustleclub.com. Get signed up so that you get the first newsletter of the year when it comes out. We'll get your shirts mailed off. The shirts are going to be in the mail, I think, before Christmas. So you can get your shirt. You make sure you're ready for the first newsletter. And then we're just going to continue on through the year doing Back of the Pack podcast, KC Hustle Club. Like, a lot of cool stuff has been happening. And really, we couldn't do it without you guys. Since this is the last episode of the year, 2022, we launched in March. We started at the Westport St. Patrick's Day 4-miler. I'm going to come back to that in a second. But this show has performed better than I ever could have imagined. And that's only because of awesome, awesome people like you who listen, who share, who tell their friends about it, who tell their running clubs about it. Word of mouth is the strongest way to grow something like this. When you tell your friend what you like and why you like it, they are more inclined to check it out for themselves. And all I ever ask is people check it out for themselves. But this show's done really well in our short time. The running community is awesome. I want to thank you all so very much for helping us out, listening, and just, I don't know, all of it. I could get a little emotional here, but I won't. But yeah, without you guys, this thing would have flopped and failed quickly. I love doing this. I love the running community. I love being at races. I love talking to people. I love just talking running, talking races. I could sit there and talk to you about a race all day long because I get such personal enjoyment out of it. And you guys are allowing me to take my personal enjoyment and share it with other people who also enjoy this world. And it's just been the best. So you guys are awesome. Thank you very much for all the support you've shown the Back of the Pack podcast in 2022. We are already getting so much lined up for 2023. It is going to be so much fun. I hope you guys stick with us. You continue to have a good time. We continue to run together and we just keep cruising. I love it. And I mentioned before that we started at the Westport St. Patrick's Day 4-miler. We are doing that race again this year. And then we are, as a group, as the Back of the Pack podcast fans, as the KC Hustle Club, as whoever you want to come out as, come down to Westport. We're going to get together, hopefully at Kelly's, because I love Kelly's. That's like one of my favorite bars. It is a bar. Just be aware it's a bar in Westport. But I want all of us to meet there. All listeners, all supporters, come down. Let's raise a glass of whatever your drink of choice is, alcoholic or non, to 1 year of the Back of the Pack podcast. So I would love to see everyone down there. I can't wait. After a fun race, and it is a fun race, we are going to take over Kelly's and just, stay as long as you want. Stay 15 minutes, stay 2 hours, whatever you want to do. I just want to have a fun day, meeting people, talking to people, and just, laughing and talking St. Patrick's Day, talking running and talking podcast stuff. So it's going to be super fun, super great. And again, all possible because you guys rock. You are awesome. So that is going to, I think, do it for the last episode of 2022 of the Back of the Pack podcast. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment, interact. Go on Facebook, find the KC Hustle Club, give that group a like. Make sure you go to the website and get signed up so that you get your Hustle Club shirt and you get the monthly newsletter. And then we're going to be back in 2023, right after the holidays. I know we're going to have Pete back on to have training tips with Pete. And then we're just going to jump right into the running season. We've got some ambassadors. We've got Back of the Pack ambassadors. They're going to kind of help us get the word out. They're going to wear some shirts. They're going to share some episodes. You're going to see them contributing to things. So when you see their names pop up, it's going to be great. I'm going out of town in January. So I'm going to try and get an episode ready. We're going to have some ambassadors take over that. But it's going to be super fun. We have a lot of cool things coming up. So please stick with us. So that's going to do it for the Back of the Pack podcast. I am your host, Kyle Walker. It is my pleasure, as always, to do this. Thank you to everyone who has shown us support over this calendar year. Things are coming up. They're going to be great. This show is brought to you by OKKC Sports, and it is produced by, producer Katie, and everyone is starting to know producer Katie. So make sure that you give her all the love and support, as she is the one that really puts the show together after I blather through it for a while. Oh, by the way, producer Katie, this is for her. You guys can listen in. I did get told at today's race, some of the best episodes are the ones where I do get fired up about things. And so she tries to reel me in. Yeah, well, see, I got told I'm pretty good when I get a little saucy out there. So I wanted that on public record. But yes, producer Katie O'Neill is the producer of this show. She's the brains behind this operation. So a big thank you to her. So everyone, whatever you celebrate, if you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Have a great holiday season. Stay safe. Keep training. We will see you in 2023.